1. The carriage comes, the carriage black. General Igby lay trembling in his bed, with his eyes shut tight, listening to the dreadful sound of the black carriage rattling along in the moonlight. His younger brother Tink was snoring in the bunk above him, and he could tell from his little sister Lily's breathing that she was asleep too. Jenner dared to open his eyes and saw the moon, as white as a skull, grinning down on him through the window. As hard as he tried not to think about it, the nursery rhyme that had terrified the children in the land of Scree for years sang in his head, and he lay there in the pale moonlight, his lips barely moving. Lo, beyond the river black, the carriage comes, the carriage black, by shadowed sea and shadowed tack, and shadowed driver driving. Child, pray the Maker let you sleep when the carriage comes down your street, lest all your dreams be dreams of teeth and carriages arriving, to rescue from your burthen bower in deepest night and darkest hour, across the sea to find the tower where Nagman is hiding. That castle throughout across the span, a world away from kith and clan, you'll weep at how your woes began, the night the shadows bound you. Away beyond the river black, the carriage came, the carriage black, by shadowed steed, by shadowed tack, the night the carriage found you. It was no wonder that Jenner had had a hard time sleeping. Once he had heard the faint thud of hoofs and the jingle of chains. He could see in his mind the form of crows circling the carriage and perched atop it, hear the croaking beaks and the flapping of black wings. He told himself that the sounds were only his imagination, but he knew that somewhere in the countryside, that very night, a black carriage would stop at some poor soul's house, and the children there would be taken away, never to be seen again. Only last week he had heard his mother crying about the taking of a girl from Torborough. Sarah Cobbler was the same age as Janet, and he remembered meeting her family when her family had passed through Driftwood. But now she was gone forever. One night she lay in bed just as he was now. She had probably kissed her parents good night and said a prayer, and the black carriage had come for her. Had she been awake? Did she hear the snort of the black horses outside her window, or see the steam rising from her nostrils? Did the fangs of rain tie her up? How she struggled when they put her into the carriage as if she was being fed into the mouth of a monster. Whatever she had done, it was useless. She had been ripped away from her family, and that was the end of it. Sarah's parents had a funeral rake for her. Being carried off by the black carriage was like dying. It could happen to anyone, at any time, and there was nothing to be done about it but to hope that the carriage kept moving when it rattled down your lane. The rattles and clinks and hoofbeats echoed through the night. Was the black carriage getting closer? Would it turn up the lane to the Igby cottage? Jenna prayed to the Maker that it would not. Nugget, Lily's dog, perked his head up at the foot of her bed and growled at the night beyond the window. Jenna saw a crow alight on a bony branch outlined by the moon. Jenna trembled, gripping his quill and pulling it up to his chin. The crow turned its head and seemed to peer into Jenna's window, sneering at the boy with wide eyes reflected in the moonlight. Jenner lay there in terror, wishing he could sink deeper into his bed where the crow's black eyes couldn't see him. But the bird flopped away. The moon clouded over, and the thump-thump of hoofbeats and the creak-waddle of the carriage faded, finally into silence. Jenner realized that he had been holding his breath, and he let it out slowly. He heard Nugget's tail thump against the wall, and felt much less alone, knowing that the little dog was awake with him. Soon he was fast asleep, dreaming troubled dreams.